Gonna park this Big Mac truck right in your fiscal garage. Let's be frank, check is blank from our secret central bank. I don't cut, I don't think, but let me tell you how I got this tank. Gotta be hard to beat monetary sovereignty. Inflate that cash till it turns into monopoly. Quantitative easing executed properly. I'm well versed in monetary policy. Spending cuts, baby, are you kidding me? Print some ones, then make a facsimile. I'm like Drake, baby, can't you see? Turning M1 into M3. I got Pomo FOMO.
Hello and welcome to the stream. Hodpool, thanks for being here.
How's it going? I retweeted the link. I retweeted your Twitter post, and then I quoted it with the link and said, we forgot the link. And so that should be okay.
I've never, it's my first stream and I forgot to stream out the whole link.
You know what? That's more
we are 100% professional. In any case, we actually
you know why we are is because we got it going like in a second.
Oh, exactly. We were just like just like that. Like, yeah, transition, flexibility, boom. So today we're talking about Ethereum, real estate, passive income, positively geared property, and all of the above. How's everyone in the chat going? Hey, Tintop, JD Hex, DJ Creditus, Drix. Thanks for being here, guys. How you been, Hodpool?
Oh, man, I miss you, Claus. I'm excited.
I miss you too, Hodpool. I feel like we're besties, but we've never met.
We are. I know, but you know what's weird? I was thinking about this the other day, and maybe this kind of makes me ditzy or something, but I don't think it does. I'm like, I can't believe I talked to Claus. We're so close, and she's in Australia. Like, technology is amazing. What if I never met you? That would suck.
I know. And like,
you know what I mean? You're all the way in
imagine when we
Australia.
meet. Okay, this is what's going to happen when we meet, right? Like, I see you at a party, and then I'm a little bit crazy, probably guess that. And then I pick you up and twirl you, but some people get offended if you pick them up. This is what my husband told me.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I'm like one of those, you know.
I'm glad I got consent before I picked you up. Because at weddings, when I have a couple drinks, sometimes I pick people up and spin them.
What's your thing?
I'm quite strong. And anyway, my husband, he pulls me aside. He says, you actually can't do that. Like some people really don't like you to do that.
You need to control yourself.
You need to just stop having so much fun. The first thing before we what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say every once in a while you need to pick me up in life. So I think just do it whenever you can. You know?
Exactly. Like if you've got a friend that lets you pick them up and like to twirl them, like at any moment without warning, that's a good friend.
I have a dress on right now. That'd be cool looking.
Oh, it'd be like Marilyn moment.
It would. Oh. Yeah.
I love that.
Anyway, Ethereum.
Oh, yeah, let's get serious. But before we do, I just want to show a promo that you did with your... Have you got the can there?
I do. I just opened one.
Oh, does it taste good?
Cherry. I think it tastes great. I love the black cherry flavor. I'm a big fan. Some people,
what does it say on the can? Because it's got some writing on there.
Would you like me to read it? I could show you too. All right. PulseChain is a hard fork of Ethereum that allows users to transact cheaper and faster on the blockchain. And there's a picture of a fork. Thousands of Ethereum-based tokens and NFTs received their free airdropped PulseChain versions. Bridge over to PulseChain today. Then it has a Richard Hart quote. So yeah, actually go to the tweet below that.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it. Yeah.
Ooh.
And that's what I did. I had to order it from DIY Beverages.
Oh, wow. So this is how people can order. Can people order the drink that you made up?
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, they can. And so I have the flavor profile on there. I'm not making any profit on this. This is just how I made them. So it's
cool.
through a company called DIY Beverages, and you can make whatever you want. It doesn't have to be PulseChain, but I made a label in case you wanted to make one. And this says black cherry on it, the label,
Wow.
but you don't have to do that. You can order anything and just X out black cherry and put other text and send
It's
that
only
to
got
them.
170 calories. That's pretty good, man.
Let's see. Yeah, that's what it says. They did print that right. Yes, it only 120 milligrams of caffeine, but I swear it's like works more than that. I don't know why.
It's got an extra boost on it. Yeah, I love that post, and I love that picture too. I've been using it. Everyone's been using it. So thank you for your service.
Yeah, I didn't realize I haven't really taken a picture of myself in a while. So, and it's just
it's
total
so
like
beautiful.
pulsed out pulse gear from everybody. So,
oh yes, Tin Top said I can twirl him. Oh, thank you, Tin Top. I appreciate that. Like I do need to get bulk people to sign that waiver. But thank you for that. So we're going to talk about Ethereum, and the first thing I want to do is describe a narrative change. Just this is in my own opinion, right? So this whole 52-week shakeout thing, I don't think I'm not subscribing to that narrative.
okay.
I'll tell you why. Last cycle, Hex pumped after Ethereum pumped, right? So funds were used, no expectations, to pump Hex. So there was little to no price action for 18 months. Ethereum topped, was it 27 days after BTC? I don't know the exact number of days after
That
BTC.
sounds about right.
And then after Ethereum pumped, funds were used to pump Hex. And then Hex went on to do a 10,000x. So you can imagine where this happened in the cycle. This was at the end of the cycle, like December, the end of the cycle. Like right at the end, like BTC had topped, 27 days later, Ethereum topped, and then funds were used to pump Hex. At the moment, a lot of the SAC funds are in Ethereum. And so what do we think could happen this cycle? No expectations, but if it played out like history had played out, then after Ethereum tops, money potentially could be used to pump PulseChain.
Yeah.
So we've seen what happens when SAC funds already put money into the system at the moment. There's a lot of sellers, and that money has just been sold. Like any new project that comes out at the moment, it gets sold off pretty much immediately. So it doesn't make sense for me for the price to be pumped before Ethereum tops.
Right. Because it's usually the altcoins pump after the main coin or alt tokens.
Exactly. And like, why waste the money if everybody's in sell it down mode? Do you know what I mean? And people are not just in sell it down mode. They are eating each other alive on Twitter. And if there is a new project, this is not financial advice. I am not, a super expert in this area, but if you release a new project now, it is going to get eaten. And perhaps a lot of the founders that are bringing out new projects actually have really perfect intentions, but they will see the cockroaches, they will see the hyenas, they will see everybody just selling it down pretty much immediately, not even days later. I'm talking like in the first 2 days, 24 hours, 6 hours. And it looks like founders and devs have rugged. And maybe they eventually do. Maybe that wasn't their initial intention. But when they see everybody just chew that liquidity immediately, the charts, everybody's new chart is looking devastating. Like it's literally like vultures. So I think there's a new narrative in town, and that narrative is that PulseChain is not going to pump until after Ethereum tops. And that's super uncomfortable thing to believe in, right? Because what we're saying is, okay, you've waited 2 years for PulseChain to come out. It's come out. It's been out a year. Now you're going to wait another 18 months to 2 years for Ethereum to top. And then after that, so BTC tops first, then Ethereum tops.
Yeah.
And then it's your turn. Like, that's difficult to wait, right?
Well, if you're kind of I don't know what the word is, but if you're kind of waiting to shake out non-believers, it's like whatever. Because I'm willing to wait years anyway. So for me, it's like, okay, what's going to happen in the next 5 years? Are we going to pump within then? Okay, sweet. And the longer it takes to pump, this is for me because I'm Pod Pearl. I hold. I don't. The longer it takes to pump, I mean, the longer that really, especially in the PulseChain, not, Ethereum, due to the structure of it being, bonded to ETH, but in PulseChain, which is probably going to go up like right after Ethereum does, it's more of a closed knit community. So if people are wanting to pump and dump and they I give up, I'm going to go gamble with other shit coins, they're going to get out and they're not going to be as volatile. And the only people left are going to be the ones that kind of are long-term holders in the first place. And I think they're less likely to dump when it starts pumping, because that just creates that. When I see a straight line relative, on the chart, what that means is the price is technically like it's pumping, but there are enough people with tons of bags that are dumping it. Like, oh, I'm finally making profit, but it can't go up above that ceiling, right? Of like buy and sell. So it's straight. And then as soon as these big bag lucky people run out, and not everyone's selling for that same price, you finally eaten your way down to the people who actually hold, right? And that's when the price goes up. And the same thing happened with Ethereum, took a couple of years, right? Yeah. So what you see is a little pump and a dump, and that's what gets people excited, right? In these charts. And I don't have a picture of it right now. You can look at the lifetime cycle of like Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's little pump,
let's do
and
it.
then it goes dumps and it goes straight, and then it starts pumping again. And I think that's why, is because the initial people that have like the largest Pareto distribution of the coin that are excited and they decide to live on it, right? Like, I'm quitting my job, I'm living on this coin. Well, that means you're continually dumping at a better price than you bought it for, but not at a mooning price. So that's why it just goes straight. Yeah, give it a shot and get caffeinated up while you do that.
Share my screen.
There we go.
I'm on a weekly, and you can see my chart. I'm a trader. Oh, you want some Hakanashi candles? You've got them.
Doxed.
Boom.
Brain doxed.
You want a log scale?
Lifetime? Yeah, I do.
Lifetime. You want a log and you want a lifetime?
Sure.
Yeah, I can do all of that.
If you could.
Yeah. Oh. Wait a minute. That's 12 monthly. That's probably a bit.
Does it even have? Oh, it might not have the option.
Wait a minute. Let me get you a monthly. Monthly chart.
It's 2018. That's. Well, okay, it ends up looking like that, right? Where do you see that little pump over there? I mean, even if it's not the complete little pump, and then like
I think it is the complete one.
Oh, it is. Okay.
That's initial, right. The initial pump.
That's what it did. So what it looks like to me, and this is with most coins or tokens with longevity, right? Is it's really low, you get a little bit of excitement, and then it pumps. And by the way, that pump is huge looking when there hasn't been a pump before. So like hex to 50 cents is that pump, if you think about that. And then it dumps because part of the pumping was the news that it's pumping, right? And people want to get their money out and say they made it, which isn't a bad.
Are you talking about in the first 6 months of Ethereum? Is that what you're talking about? In the very first 6 months? Are you talking about its first?
I forgot exactly when it started to do the big pump. And Ethereum also came after Bitcoin, so it's a little bit. Bitcoin did it too.
I think I need to go to.
Well, it's kind of there. Like, you can kind of see there's an initial pump, and then it kind of straightens out a bit. That's fine. So it pumps, and then because people get excited, and then it dumps because it's correcting itself. But the hype is there. See that low? Just really, it looks like it tanks, but that's not what's happening. Is it? There's a low buy and sell of people who understand there's energy in there. And then when you run out of people who either live on it or sell for Lambos or houses or whatever, then all you're left with are people who won't sell for that price anymore, that they're holders, right? And it takes a while to shake them out.
So this is the first year. If you guys can see where my cursor is here, that would represent the first year of Ethereum, perhaps. And there was the initial dump and then sell off.
Sometimes the timing isn't even like the same. It's just the structure looks the same.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, like the same similar pattern. So we would be around here, which would be, we're going down.
Which would be not the bottom.
Which would be not the bottom.
Sorry, everybody.
I'm sorry, everyone, but we are. This is the first year of Ethereum. We are here. We have a little bit of a way to go, and then there's sideways. This is what I was saying. Nobody listens to me. This is what I was saying.
Pause. What were you saying? Tell us again.
Clip in my necklace. There's going to be no. So with Hex last cycle, there was no price action for like 18 months before it like Ethereum topped and then it was pumped, right? So look at this. If we're around here, right, relatively speaking to PulseChain, if I was really clever, I would superimpose the PulseChain chart. We're not at the bottom.
We're going to do this today, guys. So we're just
this is like off the cuff, guys, because we're amazing. And then we're not at the bottom. We're here. We go down to the bottom. Oh wow! Imagine God, I got to get some fiat together. But I've got time. I've got time, guys. Because there's a long time before the pump.
Well, if you consider how much we are like bonded with Hex, you can kind of look at that too. The Hex chart's interesting because so many people are staked that it looks different than a token that just isn't stakeable at all, or not. It is stakeable, Ethereum, but one that isn't held for 5555. You know what I mean? So the actual shakeout of Hex is going to take a lot longer, but whatever, right?
Yeah, we've got time, which is actually good because when I talk about real estate, I actually do need a lot of time to execute what I'm going to propose somewhat. So in terms of Ethereum, the narrative changed. So for me, the narrative has changed from 52-week shakeout. I think that's a load of shit. I think it's changed to have to wait until Ethereum tops and then PulseChain gets its day, which is right at the end, and it's like 18 months, 2 years away. Yeah. So we need to start thinking like the perpetual. There's this strategy my husband was talking about the other day, and it's like the people that are really good at basketball or sport, they don't think about it in terms of, I need to work up to this point in time, or some people can think like this. You don't have to work up to this point in time, and I'm going to be super good at what I do, and then I'm going to have like a little break in my off season, and then I'll go again for the next competition or whatever. The people that are like super, super, super brilliant, like the Michael Jordans and stuff, they have this more way of thinking that's like I'll call it in terms of financial terms, like a perpetual money or investing mindset, where it's like you're not necessarily like just working up to the end of this cycle. You're going to be a perpetual investor in your lifetime. Even if you made it this cycle to whatever your goal is, then the next cycle you're going to be investing again. So instead of having these like such an emotional roller coaster when you're just waiting for the end of the cycle and when are we going to pump this cycle, it's more like, okay, well, I'm a perpetual investor. I can kind of think that my strategy, there's that lull that we saw in the Ethereum graph that goes for that. Okay, well, what would a perpetual investor be thinking during that lull? But then that lull is going to repeat itself in the next cycle. So can I not come up with a strategy that's more of a long-term mindset across cycles, if that kind of makes sense? And the perfect example of somebody who's executed and mastered this is Richard Hart, right? And most people, and I know you can Hodpril because you're Hodpril and you are just like so good at this mindset. And you already
I didn't have it, in a way I didn't have it originally. It comes from doing this for a while, right? Because you think, price go up, awesome, I'm going to make money and sell. And it's like, and trust me, you're better off selling in profit in crypto. Don't think you haven't made it. Like, I sold Bitcoin when it was, way lower, a few $1,000s. And it's like, well, if you made a profit, you made a profit. Maddie, what's going on?
Hey, Maddie, how you doing? Yeah, exactly. So just to wrap up our discussion on Ethereum, actually I have a couple more things to say about Ethereum. So the other thing that I think that as people on PulseChain should be thinking about is more of a narrative change around Vitalik. So we always want to promote PulseChain, which is so natural. We're all a little bit tribal. We're like, yes, we're faster and we're cheaper and all these kind of things. But if you think about the liquidity on PulseChain, yes, we're tied to each other. So we all know that there's shared or bonded liquidity. So we're tied to each other. We're tied to a whole heap of stable coins, mainly DAI. But then we're also, when you think about what is the big thing outside of PulseChain that we're tied to, it's Ethereum. We're a fork of Ethereum. And at the moment, or last cycle, the pump of Hex depended on the pump of Ethereum, and that money was used to pump Hex. So it doesn't make sense for me to talk down on Ethereum. I actually think we need to be talking Ethereum up, because our pump in part depends on Ethereum's pump. So for that reason, I think that we should make Vitalik cool. He already is kind of cool, but more
he's
cool.
awesome. He rocks a My Little Pony shirt like nobody else.
Yeah, I like Vitalik.
I love Vitalik.
I thought I had like a video lined up here. Oh, I do.
Oh, okay.
Let's learn about it.
He's a bro. Vitalik's awesome. So is Ethereum. I love Ethereum too.
I'm becoming quite bullish on Ethereum.
Yes, Vitalik. What has he got on his laptop?
Vitalik. I'm going to have his baby.
Raised in Canada, Vitalik Buterin is the blockchain movement's biggest celebrity. He created the Ethereum blockchain when he was just 21 years old, and its cryptocurrency, the Ether, is second only to Bitcoin. Its market cap increased by over 10,000% in 2017. Vitalik has been on a global campaign to raise awareness of his creation and its potential implications for business, finance, and government. We caught up with him in Russia, where the government hopes that Ethereum can be as transformative for their own finances as it's been for his.
So I heard about Bitcoin for the first time in maybe February 2011. Eventually, I found a guy who was willing to pay me 5 Bitcoins per article for writing articles for his Bitcoin blog.
And what was Bitcoin worth at the time?
Each Bitcoin was $0.8.
$0.8. So you're doing 5 per article, and now that would be $5,000 an article,
right?
More or less.
Okay. Being a high school guy with not much money, I thought $1.5 an hour was a fairly reasonable wage. So
that was a good deal to you.
Yeah, totally.
$1.5 an hour.
Yeah, fight for 1.5.
Yeah.
Then I spent 8.5 of them on a t-shirt.
He's cute. I like how he eats with his mouth open.
Works.
Vitalik's adorable. I love guys like that.
It actually is still possible for people to come together and create an entire new financial system. And this seemed kind of very empowering to me.
Hearing you talk about recreating.
See, now he's eating with his
sort of utopia. Get rid of all the old stuff and create something totally from scratch.
No, it wasn't about kind of overthrowing anything. It was more just the idea that before kind of finance and lots of other things seemed like there were all these people way up there that were just doing these things, and without them, there's no way any of this could happen. And here, it just made it very obvious that money is just something that a community can make for itself whenever it wants. We know what decentralized networks are. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of BitTorrent and all the various file sharing networks, like all the various decentralized messaging systems. There was this group of cypherpunks that thought, okay, you can do all of those things in a decentralized way, but why can't we do decentralized cash? For example, if I have, some song and I want to send you the song over a decentralized network, I do this. And
anyway, it goes, turn this one off. It goes on and on, but yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to try and make some memes.
I'm enthralled with Vitalik.
Yeah, I want him dancing, and there are videos of him dancing, but I think
I don't think I've ever seen him dancing.
That's cute. It's kind of like
I bet
he tries.
Yeah, Vitalik, we love you. We do.
Love you, not as much as Richard.
If you ever want to stream with us,
yeah, anytime. So I got onto Monect. I don't know if you heard of this thing called Monect, but it's basically you can chat with professional bros or ladies about anything you want. Because I was a bit concerned because I was waiting for Ethereum to pump, and I'm like, why hasn't it pumped? Why hasn't the ETF been approved? I was just waiting. So I asked my mate Rags on Monect, why the hell Ethereum
question
That's
for
what he
everybody
said.
else here. Hi,
Can you
Brandon. Crypto question. Why hasn't ETH rallied yet this cycle? Is BlackRock trying to kill ETH?
I should have said, is the SEC trying to kill ETH? Because that would have made more sense. But anyway, don't worry about my stupid question.
I think that BlackRock is not trying to kill ETH. I think that they want to take Ethereum. They want to take Bitcoin. They want to take Bitcoin Cash. They want to take Polkadot. They want to take all the big cap cryptocurrencies, the L1s, and they want to create business ideas and business models off of those. But what they realize about Ethereum, if you look back, JP Morgan, you can Google this, they said that Ethereum was going to outperform Bitcoin in 2024. They said that publicly. And I think what's happening right now, they know that the first round of submissions for an Ethereum ETF are probably going to get denied by the SEC. They know that. So what they're trying to do, they're not hyping this up very much, but what they're doing is providing themselves plenty of time to accumulate Ethereum. They've already been accumulating Ethereum for a year or so now, a little bit over, and they're going to continue to accumulate until that the Ethereum ETF comes live. And I think they will use Ethereum to really try to kickstart the market because there's so much liquidity that is tied up with ETH pairs on Ethereum through Uniswap V3 and others. So I think that's really going to be a strong catalyst. Now the question is, like, when does that happen? Well, we got 2 landmines this year. The first landmine was the halvening. So we'll see if we can wait another month or so and survive that without any significant downturn. Then the next landmine that we're going to see is the interest rate cuts from the United States, from the Federal Reserve. That is looking like it's going to happen later this year. The economic outlook is not looking too good right now because the GDP numbers came out today. The United States experienced 1.3% growth with an expected 2.5%. So it was significantly under the projections. And then you have inflation that's increasing. So, I mean, technically, we have this for a couple more months, then we're looking at stagflation. And, last time stagflation happened in a significant way in the United States was, in the 70s and 80s, early 80s with Jimmy Carter, and it was not pretty. Gas went way
gas prices
so
stuck.
We're in a tough situation here. Let's see if we can make it out of 2024. The global liquidity cycle says we're bottomed out right now, and they need to start injecting liquidity into the system in order for all these countries and all these corporations to refinance their debt. So I know it's coming at some point, and it's going to pump the market.
So that was probably a cool bit at the end. It's going to pump the market.
I pretty much agree with all of that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things that I've been thinking about, like from a macro perspective. Like I saw a short clip last night, and it was really, I wonder if my husband bookmarked it, because he goes, "Oh, this is cool. I'll bookmark it for you." Let me see if there's a bookmark in here I can muck around with. I'll just quickly check if he did. No, don't worry. It's going to be too hard without clicking out of the stream accidentally. But essentially it was like there was a guy from the United States who was part of the Economic Advisory Committee to Biden. And he was in an interview in regards to, I think it was debt crisis. And the journalist asked the question, if you can print infinite money, then why does the government go into debt? And he just didn't know the answer. Like, he didn't quite know how treasury bonds worked or how the government gets in debt in the first place. And then he didn't know the answer to, if you're printing infinite money, then why do you also have to go into debt?
Or he knew it and he didn't want to answer.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was.
Awkward.
I plead the fifth.
Awkward thing. Yeah, exactly.
I plead the fifth.
But, in regards to the Ethereum ETF, let's have a look if the SEC can give us some clarity here. I want to share this from my Twitter.
Not do your job.
Wait a minute.
There's a lot. Today we welcome the testimony of Gary Gensler, Chair of the Securities Exchange Commission. I'm asking a specific question. Is Ether a commodity or a security?
And again, it depends on the facts. facts and the law. And
I'm asking you a very simple question about the second largest digital asset.
Congress has said that there's one agency, the Securities and Exchange Commission, under this
And
committee.
you won't answer my question, and you're the head of that agency.
What about Ethereum? Is Ethereum now a security?
We had this.
I heard your exchange. They've been in place since 2015. You say in your statements that there's clarity in the market and the rules are clear. Just come on in. You can't even answer the question.
Did you, the SEC, perform any of that cost benefit analysis internally?
So the SEC looked at, I think, over 6,000 public registers.
So that's a yes.
You're so slimy. Let me stop that sound. Go back. Yeah, it's a bit slimy, the
It's so
SEC.
slimy. So I guess what you should do is just buy and hold.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Like,
have the
Ethereum-
slime help you, right?
Exactly.
Like, if you
If
know
you
how
have
to read
time.
slime.
If you know how to read slime, SEC is like, we ourselves are investigating Ethereum and we will time the approval of the ETF, basically. So the SEC and all their employees are stacking Ethereum. So you've got to at least be as smart as these kind of people, corrupt people. So
We
makes
had
sense
a,
to me.
We had a
stack Ethereum.
San Francisco politician named Leland Yee, and he was very anti-gun, and he was a child psychologist or something. And San Francisco's very Chinese, right? So they love their politicians that they, have in, and he was kind of a hero in the community. But the cops were doing a random kind of shakedown of the triads or whatever that were funneling drugs. What a gang, right? Chinese gang. And they came across Leland Yee. They weren't expecting him, and he was trafficking guns and weapons and otherwise underneath his own laws that you couldn't do it, right? So it was just people were up in arms and shocked and angry. And I'm like, a lot of these, they don't have to be liberal politicians, but a lot of these liberal politicians will champion one thing, vote for censorship, and make money on that exact thing in the black market, right? And this guy literally, he almost stopped. He really hurt the video game industry. You couldn't have violence in video games. It was just unreal that he was actually with a guy named Shrimp Boy. He was,
and meanwhile, underneath his jacket,
they weren't expecting to find Leland Yee. They were expecting to find guys like Shrimp Boy and stuff like, But anyway, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like a lot of these politicians that have pretty extreme views on censoring a certain thing, make sure that they're not doing it to get rid of the competition.
Because it's a huge conflict of interest for the SEC to be investigating Ethereum, but they're the ones that also approve the ETF and will approve it after first denying it.
Well, that's our guess. Yeah, I mean, that is a possibility of what's happening.
That's just them like timing the market on behalf of the government. Like, talk about insider trading. That's I mean, it's so obvious as well, and yet Congress themselves pull the piss out of the SEC publicly, but yet there seems to be no punishment or consequences. They're just given a free run because the current president doesn't like crypto and they want to shut crypto down. So that's just, I hate to say it, but that's corruption, right?
Oh, they're backtracking. They're walking back. Like Elizabeth Warren, I think, had this weird pro-Bitcoin ad going right after
and then Biden puts on his laser eyes. It's like, but then you want to ban like self-custody wallets and then you want to investigate the thing that you're approving and also stuck your own bags.
Now I accept that they probably don't really understand crypto and they're just that just means
too
people
hard
hiding money and
it must be criminal. If I don't understand it, it must be criminal.
Right. Well, you can hide money there, but you could also just hide wads of cash until
exactly. I mean, if you were going to be a criminal, you'd be using cash. You wouldn't be using like an immutable ledger that shows every single transaction. So yeah, I'm bullish on Ethereum and I think PulseChain.
Unless it's Monero.
So I think the success of PulseChain in part depends on the success of Ethereum. So that it just makes sense. And the chart that I showed you before, obviously altcoins are like a leverage play, right? So Ethereum goes down a little bit, then PulseChain goes down a lot more, and same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's same thing. Bitcoin goes down a little bit, altcoins go down a lot more. So at the moment, because you saw where we are in what that chart looked like, we have a little bit more down to go. And then we have that sideways action for 18 months until Ethereum peaks, and then we finally get our day in the sun. I think we just need to be thinking a little bit differently about things and about our narratives, and just have a narrative that actually makes sense compared to other cycles, rather than perpetuating. I think the community is so good at marketing, but sometimes we hold on to narratives that aren't in our favor because they don't reflect the truth or what's actually going on in the cycle. So for that, all of those reasons, I love Vitalik. I now love Ethereum. That's my Ethereum talk.
That's right. And good for you, Klaus, because a lot of people forget to say that, oh, PulseChain's better than Ethereum. And I say that too. You know, and it is true. But, it's true. You know, Ethereum's also great. Ethereum doesn't suck. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's a leverage play. I mean, their merge went through seamlessly. Vitalik eats with his mouth open. I think that's super endearing.
I love Vitalik.
I do. I love Vitalik too. All right. And then, it's a blockchain that enables dApps to play on. So, like, what's
for cheaper. For
cheapies.
Which makes it actually playable.
So, the title of this stream was PulseChain being a leverage play on Ethereum, which just means that finally, when Ethereum pumps, like, we'll pump a lot harder. So, for example, I hate giving price predictions, but let's just say, generally speaking, Ethereum's going to go up, whatever it is, 2x. I always thought it would go up. I did this extrapolation data analysis, right? This is before all the ETF hype. And I got, at the end of the cycle, like 7K. But then I'm going to take into account, like, ETF approval. I'm going to say 10K. So from here to 10K, like, you're looking, like a 3x, 3 point something x.
Which is fantastic.
Which is
that's awesome. And that's not unreasonable.
That's so good. And like, if you talk to all the big players that have made heaps and heaps of money in crypto, they talk about all you need is 10x's, right? So if you've got something that does like a 2 to a 10x, then that's actually like super amazing. And if you've got a whole heap of money and you're doing a 2 to 10x, then you can pat yourself on the back. So the fact that Ethereum might do like a 3x, that's actually really cool. And this kind of ties into the real estate thing that I wanted to talk about. So that's kind of my predictions, although I hate giving price predictions, but I will for Ethereum. But the idea that PulseChain is like a leverage play on it is that we kind of expect that pump for PulseChain would be a little steeper. I'm not going to give PulseChain price predictions because I really don't have a good ballpark.
It's just volatile.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't matter what the price is. I mean, as dumb as that sounds, it's just volatile. So as long as you understand that we're so bonded together, everything on the PulseChain is so bonded together. And I guess you could technically, count EHEX in that a little bit, but not as much as like everything on Pulse. If Pulse goes up and down, like it's so it super pumps and super dumps. One good thing about that is it creates a lot of people on Twitter X either talking shit or posting all-time high girls at all times because of volatility. It is not really a token that, Pulse is a coin, technically it's its own blockchain, but it's not an ecosystem that is, isn't volatile. It's not very stable because of the way it, right now, and its youth and the way it's bonded together. So it's been untested.
It's the first cycle. Like it really has been untested. And if you remember that Ethereum chart that we showed you, we're going to go down a bit further. We're going to go side for a long time. But then the peaks at the end, because they haven't happened yet, you just can't, we can't fathom it because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, it might look different depending on what's going on too. We got the Richard Hart stuff. I mean, this is also an election
year. It is,
so
dependent on that. I mean, let's just be honest.
And there's wars and everything. So it's not necessarily going to be the same, but undisturbed, that's pretty much not surprising, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so let's be realistic. It does kind of depend on the case. I don't know what's going to go on with the case. Nobody knows. We obviously want a positive outcome. I feel like I'm sitting on like a 60-40 in Richo's favor, definitely always on his side in terms
Oh,
of a
yeah,
positive
at
outcome.
least.
And
I mean,
the
just
only
don't get
reason,
shaken out. Why would
Yeah.
you get shaken out? Just don't. If you don't have money to put back in it, and you're upset. Just do nothing. Just keep like,
Yeah.
what's in there, and it'll
Yeah.
go down or up.
I
Just
haven't
don't-
touched my cold storage for PulseChain, and I won't
Good.
because
Yeah.
cold storage is cold storage. Like, you have conviction for a reason. You're never going to make it in crypto if you have no conviction. And by conviction, it's going to take you 4 to 6, sometimes 8 years for it to come to fruition. But that is what it is. So let's move on to real estate. Real estate, I love real estate. Like, I'm not going to lie. But when I objectively think about it, there are reasons why I should love it and have love it. And then perhaps I actually need to change my approach to it. But just to say in general, like, the cycles in real estate are obviously a lot longer than crypto. They're like 10-year cycles. So you might be selling, like, this is not a perfect system, obviously, but at the 10-year mark, 20-year mark, 30-year mark, not a perfect system, but yeah, 7% a year, which is a doubling every 10 years. However, we now have inflation that we're fighting against. So if inflation is 4 or 5% per year, real estate is 7% per year, then actually the gains in real estate aren't that much. The reason I personally like real estate is because when it comes to investment properties and you stack investment properties using equity loans, you are getting rental income. You might start in a state of a negatively geared position, which works in my tax bracket. So because I pay a lot of tax, if I'm negatively geared, it works out for me. So for me, it worked because of that reason initially. I would say probably moving into more of a neutral bracket for me now because the rents are so high at the moment. So although the interest rates are really high, the rents are also high, and you pay the properties off over time, right? So then you move from a negatively geared state into a neutral state into a positively geared state. And the idea is that you should want to be in a positively geared state where actually the rent that you're getting, you've paid off the house and you're just getting the rent. And yes, you'll end up paying more tax, but at the end of the day, you're a winner. So that's my thoughts about rental properties. So I still am a super fan about rental properties because I like the idea of being retired and having the income, like the rent being paid to me when I'm not working.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I like rental stuff. But when it comes to your personal residence, and the tax implications are different for rentals, you've got capital gains tax, which is another thing you have to consider. All the maintenance, all of the things that go into.
Yeah, Biden's proposing a 44% top capital gains right here, which is
what an asshole.
Not gonna, I know. I mean, it's not going to go, but God knows. I don't know.
No, it's different. So your own house is a little bit different because when you sell it, you don't pay capital gains. And also you spend what you want on your own house because you want to.
And you can keep it in bankruptcy. Oh, wait, this is the US. That's Australia.
Oh,
that's true. I don't know if it's different.
Can you? No, I think it's different. I don't know.
Is it? I'd have to look.
I went to Monex because I had this thought, right? Because when you saw that Ethereum chart, guys, like you saw that it was so bottom for so long. Yeah. And so if you had super conviction, my thoughts were I wouldn't go into an altcoin with like a massive, massive amount of money. I would do it with like a portion of money. But if you have a large amount of money, you would go into something a little bit more stable. You would go into something like Ethereum or BTC during that time when you're just waiting for like a 2 or a 3x, which is actually like pretty sweet, right? Like if you potentially, and this is all just speculation, guys. Like I'm not telling you that I'm selling properties right now. I'm just thinking about it, and I've been thinking about it for years. And I think I'm finally coming to a point in the next month where I will make a decision on it. But any big decision in my life, it takes a very long time.
Good.
So, yeah, so it's been a massive decision. And because what I was speaking to Gary on Monet, and he basically said, and this is not quoting Gary, this is just saying the vibe of what he said. In terms of your primary residence, if you can reduce the cost of where you live, for example, some people move to Puerto Rico.
They do. UAE too, right?
Yeah. So if you're reducing the cost of where you live, so instead of living in a luxury mansion to enhance your lifestyle and having huge overheads of the mortgage, if you reduce the cost of where you live, then potentially you have some capital that you could invest in a higher risk asset. And he also said something super interesting because I was thinking a couple of things. I thought, can I leverage my equity in real estate to buy more crypto? Or can I self-manage my super fund to perhaps do the same thing. And he said something really interesting, super fund meaning the 401k.
Yeah.
And he said something super interesting in terms of the 401k. And what he said was like, there's this mentality that, yeah, you have to lock away this capital until you retire. But with inflation, by the time you get that money, the purchasing power has significantly reduced. So actually, you know, it's not, he was kind of saying, look, it's not therefore unreasonable to be thinking in this way if you're fighting against inflation.
No, you have to think outside of the box when you're getting screwed. That's why I'm so mad at this is I'm a big rule follower. I know I say some rebellious stuff, but I think that if people do what they're supposed to do, they should be rewarded for it. The problem with, irresponsible economic activity is that you get people that have saved, right? They have bags of cash somewhere or, 401k, and they've worked hard and they're good people and they get screwed. You shouldn't have to really think outside the box in order to make to have a decent retirement if you work hard. But unfortunately, when you live in a world that is kind of corrupt, I mean, if you're very smart, you can actually take advantage of it, right? Like, hey, suddenly, and I won't go into how, because a lot of it's pretty shady, but I mean, you can end up getting ahead on an economic downturn when normies get screwed out of their money. But how terrible is it that you're like, well, okay, the responsible thing is to not dip into 401k, that you're doing what you're supposed to do. But, if you're going to EES it, emergency end stake, anything, right? And you got to think like, well, what's cash going to be worth? Do I have to buy some asset instead in order for it to not be more?
I mean, that's the thing we have to fight so hard against inflation now.
Look at the yen. It hit 160. It's awful.
I mean, people that aren't realizing this are the people that have worked their whole life and their 401k is not supporting them now in their retirement. So we have to think a little bit outside the box. So when it comes to making decisions, is Bitcoin better, Ethereum better, PulseChain or an altcoin better, is real estate better, is being in the US dollar better, like which is better? When you're thinking about opportunity costs, you always have to compare one to the other, or you're doing multiple pairings, right? Comparing everything.
We used to be able to hedge that on BTCE, by the way. It wasn't just crypto. It was like, they had it was like yuan, the ruble, and then it had like Feathercoin and Namecoin and Litecoin and Bitcoin. I think that was all that was on there for a long time. And so you could hedge the fiat too. It was pretty crazy.
I can't wait to this sounds so silly to say, and my mindset around the world is changing as the world changes, right, from an economic point of view. But when Australia gets a BTC ETF, I actually am excited about that because currently my superannuation fund is locked up in shares or what most people have, like some cash, some shares, some whatever. They don't offer crypto as part of any portfolio for your 401k in Australia. So being into a Bitcoin ETF in Australia is the best thing that I can, and also I feel pretty relatively low risk thing if I want to be exposed to crypto in my 401k. Well, we call it super. So I'm actually a little bit bullish about that. Like I'm going to actually ask Buck, because I know Buck knows heaps about this kind of stuff. Like which super fund in Australia is supporting Bitcoin ETFs? Because if I self-manage my super, the government has made it super difficult for you to self-manage. So if you're not like super wealthy, it's actually not worth the cost because there's legal costs, accounting costs, you get audited frequently. And if you make a move, they're going to make it illegal for you not to go through like 50 steps so that you couldn't execute trades like in a short space of time. So so Manect helped me as well with this real estate issue, and Gary did an 8-minute reply in regards to real estate, which was super interesting. And he spoke about inflation and about how the 401k might not mean what you think it means at the end of your retirement, and how, you could think about reducing the costs of your primary residence so that you could potentially inject capital, although high risk. If you want high return, that's obviously high risk. So they're the kind of things that I've been musing over lately.
Well, it depends on what your goal is too, right? Not everybody's goal is the same. So if you were to say be a single person and not have any, or young or something, you could technically, like you said, high risk, high reward. You could do more of that stuff and be like, okay, I want, X million dollars, and I'm going to
Getting
do
the
this.
guys in the chat excited, Hodbro. You said single, and it came out of your mouth. They're probably like,
It came out of my mouth.
they're like,
No.
is she single? They loved your photo.
They
They loved it so bad. They're like,
out.
Hodbro. Yeah, Hodbro. I've seen all these streams and people just, they just sneak in the word Hodbro. They're like, yeah. Did you see the Hodbro?
The pulsed out Hodbro with the energy
I love
drink.
it. The
See
energy
me?
drink.
I was dressed pretty much like like Axl
Comes
Rose
on my
on,
stream all the time.
dressed like Axl Rose on the Yeti stream yesterday too, kind of. But
I love it.
I forgot, what was I saying? Oh yeah. I mean, it depends on what your goal is. Is like, I guess a goal of X million doesn't make much sense, because we're talking about if inflation's crazy, then that amount of money isn't going to be worth the same. But I think it is important to know, like, what is your end goal? I know everyone wants to make as much money as possible, but
I'm so greedy. My goals are so extreme.
You can have them because at least you have them, right?
Most
Then
people
you
would
have
be
something
like,
to work for.
I want 1 or 2 million. I'm like, 1 or 2 million, whatever.
Because it's really not going to be worth that much.
I want 100 million, and then I'll retire. Otherwise, I'm still trudging it to my job. Because I want
to. I don't think you need 100 million to not trust me.
I don't know. I want 100. I'm sending it. You know what Oprah says? If I sleep on that stupid book, I can get 100 million. You know The Secret? She did all those episodes. All I have to do, guys, like screw this stream and all of the things that we were talking about. I can get this book, The Secret, and because I believe in the 100 million, sleep on the pillow, boom. 100 million.
Charlemagne move. I just read a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and I believe it was written in 1995. Yeah, I just finished it, and it's really they did a big, giant question and answer survey session with millionaires, and the results were in the U.S. and the results were very surprising and not expected.
Really?
Yeah.
What are they into? They're into some weird shit.
Most of the ones they found were blue collar men with stay at home wives.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they usually, like the truck that was most like, I mean, this is in the 90s, but I think the Ford F-150 was the number one millionaire car of choice. And they all invested. They usually paid for their children's college, but, didn't really do economic, like they tried to teach their kids how to fish. Right, but it was
I have met a few.
It was frugal people, low overhead people. They relatively didn't live that fancy. Every
financial advisor I've ever met, I'm convinced they know less than me and have way less money. So I've been supremely disappointed. The people that have money generally don't offer that service. They're not a financial advisor. So it's kind of counterintuitive. But if somebody works as a financial advisor, they're working as they don't have money, really.
It's funny. You'll get some of the better, this comes from, this is not financial advice, but some of these Telegram rooms, like some of the people that, that you find, like, and it's not even just PulseChain, it's all sorts of stuff. Like they'll have these, and a lot of them are like real estate rooms and everything, or whatever, or Richard Kiyosaki things that people branched off with, and they get interested. Like they'll biz on 4chan's another one, although it's filled with a bunch of shit too. But you get a lot of information, cutting edge new information with stuff, not just crypto, but like someone used to use GameStop as a bank. That's an example of what I'm talking about. Like they used to, what did they do? This is before the whole GameStop stock market thing, but go and put money in and like, I think you could put money in there to like reserve a video game that was new, but you could take money out as well. And the terms weren't that bad, and it's not an official bank account. So people would kind of go in there. I think they stopped doing that because they figured
Just using it as a bank because they were getting a better deal.
yeah,
Just like a
yeah,
random
and like
online
you weren't gonna get your funds taken out, right? They weren't gonna garnish your GameStop.
Oh, that's
So,
funny.
yeah, no, just
I am a fan of this thing, this Minect thing. So it's like a phone app.
MINECT.
It's MINNECT. And basically, if you sign up and you become an expert, then people pay you like whatever you set, like 10 or 20 bucks to message you. And then you can set like a higher price for a video call or whatever it is. And it's not just crypto, it's like in other areas of life, real estate, whatever.
Oh.
And the two people that are on it are Gary Woods and Brandon. And Rags to Riches. And it's cool that you can access people like this and ask them particular questions that you're struggling with. And as you heard from Brandon's response, I didn't play Gary's because it was 8 minutes, so it's a bit long for the stream. But as you heard in Rags to Riches' response, it was so eloquent and it was really on point, and it was at an expert level. So that's a really cool service. And I even messaged like one of the more popular guys that does the value entertainment. His name is Adam Shosnik. God, I can't say his name properly. But anyway, he replied eventually, and he had a really good reply as well, which was interesting to hear. So yeah, I am a fan. And if because Rags to Riches is a chance of winning the top 3 tier in his field, and if he does, he gets to have dinner with the guy that runs the whole show. And what's the guy that runs the whole show called? Patrick Davis. Sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. But they get to go to dinner together and network. So that's actually really cool if Rags to Riches wins, because he'll be really integrating in that crowd, and that's really important outreach that
he's got his own crowd.
Yeah.
Like
he does.
And Brandon's kind of got his own personal army a little bit, just because he's so funny and cool.
Because he's got orange hair, he's a redhead.
Yeah, he doesn't have a soul, but he has a lot of people that support him.
He's got a huge fan base. I think he's really
awesome.
Do love
the
him.
Redhead soul joke.
Thanks, so we're coming up to the hour mark. Do you want to talk about anything that you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? Don't get shaken out, I guess. Have some patience. That's pretty much it. You don't have to think too hard when stuff. Although, I mean, today Bitcoin and all that's pumping a little bit in comparison, so it's not so bad. But people have like a 2-week attention span. Like we pump a little bit and dump a little bit. Don't gamble as much on PulseChain unless you know what you're doing. You can just sit. We're all so bonded anyway. By all means, if you're good at it, don't tell me this is not financial.
I think there's like I was saying before, there's so many vultures out there. It's really dangerous to get into anything new or any meme coins at the moment because it gets chewed through immediately. And I think sitting is a valid approach. Like, I don't think, pressing too many buttons for the next 18 months is really that.
It's hard for people to not because it's
a long time, right?
It's a long
but people have to
time.
get their head around it. Like look at what happened last cycle, what we were talking about. Like it's a long time. So figure out how you're going to cope, like without destroying yourself.
Here's the funny thing. People that are good at crypto don't often have the biggest bag at the end because they can't get away from it. They keep tripping on it. They keep buying stuff. They keep trading. But who can keep up on here on X and marketing and streams and whatever we do and just not touch it, right? It just becomes more of a social event where you're talking about stuff, but you're not touching your wallet. Not a lot of people have that gumption. Or even if you're just watching this stuff, like all of this stuff in your head, but it doesn't get to you and you don't take the wallet out and go buy a bunch of stuff or freak out or.
Yeah, like cold storage is cold storage. Like if you want to muck around with memes, that's cool. But like,
or if you do,
10%, like just have a small percentage that you muck around, and if you completely destroy that that amount of money, then that's
or read the white paper, you know. But there are people that have cool stuff too, so you can't just not do anything. I'm no Maxi, like got a cool thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think this last month has been super savage in terms of nothing has probably worked out, but that's probably more of a reflection of like the macro, right? But yeah, before that,
the way you described it.
The way we describe it, there's just nothing out there. But I do have a HOA, for example. Look at this that I got. This is the HOA pin. You can't see the colors properly.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's cute.
cool. That's in Australia too, right? They're in.
Yeah, they're Australian. Yeah. So I'm super happy with it. What I did was I didn't clip it up properly.
Cute. Yeah.
So it came because I tied it up at the back so it would sit a bit higher, but it's it's lovely. So yeah, look, I've got other stuff. I'm not saying don't have other stuff. I'm just saying allocate your hedge. I mean, I think people should have at least a 30% hedge in something like Ethereum. And then you got your conviction bags. For me, it's PulseChain Hex.
I mean, this Chain Gang stuff, they've had a lot of fun. They've done a lot of stuff. So I've
got to have a little bit of like memes up your sleeve. I have huge respect for HOA and Chain Gang. And bullish and
anything that just keeps people here and having fun and not gambling stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's funny because it is a meme coin, but
it's just about making sure you're happy with how you've allocated. You got your hedge, you got your conviction bags, you got your meme coins.
Your conviction bags. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Oh yeah.
This is my screw around wallet.
Hopefully it's a positive act.
Yeah.
And then you've got your your meme. Everyone's got to have a meme coin, right? Like meme coins still have their place. I'm not saying they don't. What's my favorite meme coin? Ooh, what's your favorite meme coin?
I'm not going to tell you because it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, now you made me sad. What is it?
No, I'll tell you after the stream.
Okay, cool.
It's not sad. Trust me, it's funny.
Oh, it's
my
not
favorite
sad.
meme coin. Oh God, honestly, like I like when memes are more complicated than they seem because like I like complicated memes that seem like stupid memes because people don't know they're complicated and you can use it or farm it or, you know, like in the case of like Pulse Kittens, you could herd it or, you know, and a lot of people like, I remember when Hedron came out, people were, it's something that isn't really Richard Hart. Is this a meme token? It's like, well, it is if you don't know what it is. Although you had to mint it from Hex Stakes originally, so it wasn't really. But a lot of these, you know, that's a stretch. I don't think that was ever really considered a meme coin. But you know, I like when they have white papers so you can look up and look at how they are used or they have another utility, right? More than just pump and dump tokens. So that there are a lot of, I mean, BBC's a meme token, right? Isn't it kind of, even though, but that has a utility. You can stake it, you know, you can, it's funny.
Yeah,
it's
9 inch. 9
inch. Yeah. Are those really meme tokens or do they have a utility? Like it depends on your definition of what a meme token is. I mean, they would say it's a meme token. I think, weren't they marketing it as such? But you can actually stake these things. It's 9 inches like a meme token.
Yeah, he's done so much work on that website, which is like, it's kind of cool. Like their website, like there's single-sided PLSX staking, you can stake your BBC. There's farms, so you can earn BBC.
Yeah, so like I like when a meme token has a utility because I go and use it like it isn't a meme token. I don't really do the pump and dump thing. I don't mind if other people pump and dump it if they think it's just a meme token, but there are ways to make a profit when you understand a little more about something than other people do and they're just pumping and dumping. So do your research on those white papers, ladies and gentlemen. That's how I do it. Other people can do it their way.
I mean, meme coins, like you can't, I wish I was more eloquent. You can't shit on meme coins because, for example, Pepe on Ethereum, I did pretty well out of that. And I won't lie, like that is, I feel like a solid play. So yeah, Pepe on Ethereum would have to be my best meme.
Is P-Dye a meme?
Definitely.
Okay.
P-Dye to $1 because that's the most basic thing in the world to say. Peg it to $1.
Well, you know what's funny is it is a meme token, but what is its utility? It's joking around until it's $1.
Yeah, it's
Right?
basically like Richo wants it $1 and it will go to $1. But
But it's-
I'm kind of like I'm into it for like that reason. Like I'm into it because of their community is so funny. Like that guy that came on the chat.
yeah.
He was a
Yeah.
Chad. Like I'm into it because they're funny community, and I love their founder. Like I don't know, he's got cool vibes. He's got like some Vitalik vibes. So I love that. And yeah, not solid reasons.
You know what? It depends on what a solid reason is, right? Like,
yeah, you got to have a good founder. You got to have a good community, and
we
pretty
do have
much
to have a
like
good community, that's for sure.
like if it works, it's not a scam. Then that's all you really need.
Yeah, exactly. So,
All right, we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
Any last thoughts, Hodpro?
yeah, you rock, Claus. I'm glad to see
Oh,
you again. This
love
is
you,
fun.
Hodpro.
Love you too. This is great.
Once I meet you, I'll spin you.
I have a dress on. Dress. Kind of see you as a dress. I could be spun in this washing machine.
Thanks, chat. Yeah, don't wreck yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes, I'm a fan of it all on PulseChain. So good.